We are continuing to follow some breaking news, and that is President Trump making a statement on social media right here, talking about SNAP. This just posted to Truth Social right here. SNAP benefits, which increased by billions and billions of dollars, manyfold during crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term in office, due to the fact that they were haphazardly handed to anyone for the asking as opposed to those in need, which is the purpose of SNAP, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up government, which they can easily do, and not before. Thank you for your attention on this matter, signed President Donald J. Trump. So we did want to let you know that this just coming into our newsroom, President Trump now saying that food benefits will only get paid once the shutdown ends. And that is the social media post that he put right there. We're also continuing to monitor this live look right here as the Senate is now taking its 14th test vote to break filibuster to begin debate on House Pass CR. It does need 60 yeas, and so we are going to be monitoring that for you once we get those results.
Let the Hunger Games begin. So Trump decided to continue to leverage and weaponize hunger for political power. This is not a good look for the country. As you all know, many are being affected by the SNAP benefits being cut. Senate has given the green light to go into the emergency funds. Trump said, nah, he's not going to do that. And people are going to have to starve until the government is back open. Now, let me tell you something. He's blaming the Democrats when it takes two to tango, y'all. See, what's happening right now is Trump refuses to negotiate, and the Democrats refuse to bend when it comes to Medicaid. That's what's happening right now. So Trump is pulling a very shrewd business move, very callous move he's pulling right now, saying, you know what, we're just going to wait it out at the expense of the people. Now, don't get it twisted. The Democrats, they can care less as well. This is what happens when people stop buying into the system. They starve the people out. So let the Hunger Games begin. Now, in case you're just joining, what just took place is Trump said there will be no SNAP benefits until the government shutdown is over. Now, we don't know how long this government shutdown could take. We don't know if it's going to take months. We don't know if it's going to take weeks or even days. But we know for sure that USDA, and I'm going to go here real quick, because now communities are beginning to rally. There's a lot going on. Z Corp Alpha, thank you, says, please explain stamps back or not, question mark. Well, I think that the news put it very simple. There will be no benefits until the government is reopened, but we don't know when that could be. So austerity measures could kick in. We on week, 2 of people not getting their stamps? Going into week 3, we're about 40 days of a government shutdown, the longest in history. And now the stakes have been raised because now you're going to have some hungry people. And the news just broke, man. This is not a good thing at all for those who are in need. So we have breaking news. The USDA is going to do a full breakdown here. Now let me go here. I want to share with you another news source so we can get a greater understanding of what's taking place.
Okay, so think about this on a Monday. The U.S. government shutdown is now just 1 day shy of becoming the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. It's set to beat a 35-day record set back during President Donald Trump's first term. So the impact is hitting dinner tables all over the United States. Over the weekend, tens of millions of Americans were expected to lose federal food benefits called SNAP. So enter two federal judges who say the Trump administration has to use emergency funds to keep SNAP payments going. So the White House had until today to figure out how exactly they'll pull that off. Meanwhile, in a 60-minute sit-down with CBS News' Norah O'Donnell, the president continues to blame Democrats for the shutdown.
What are you doing as president to end the shutdown?
All we're doing is we keep voting. I mean, the Republicans.
I see some people in the chat saying that they're getting their benefits. That's good. So the USDA is cutting 65%. So if you did get your SNAP benefits, consider yourself blessed, because the USDA are cutting 65%. All right. That's according to breaking news. That's according to all the headlines. Let's go.
Are voting almost unanimously to end it. And the Democrats.
Hold on. I think I went to the wrong one here. One moment. Yep. Okay, let me get this here. All right. And you know what's going on in this country is quite alarming, because you know we're supposed to be the most rich country. But going into this so-called holiday season, a lot of people are going to be going without. Of course, with an exception of a few places. USDA. All right. So Trump's USDA bars grocery stores from offering discounts for SNAP recipients. And this is just hours ago. Sorry for the delay. I'm actually updating y'all as I get the news, because this is breaking news. So we're getting all the logistics live and direct.
Funds during the shutdown. Last night, the Supreme Court temporarily allowed the Trump administration to withhold about $4 billion in SNAP money. The order was issued by Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who says the temporary decision was required so that the appeals court, the lower court, can consider the government's arguments in full. It'll then go back to the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, everyday Americans are struggling with both hunger and financial stress as they become a political football in the shutdown fight. Last month, a nonprofit natural food store in New Jersey posted on social media that it was offering a temporary discount to SNAP participants to help tide them over while their funding had run out. But an hour later, they, along with other stores around the country, received an email from the government telling them that they weren't allowed to do that.
So let me get this right. Right from the White House, they made the USDA pull any discounts while people are hurting right now. Wow. All I gotta say is that they don't really care about us. Now imagine that. USDA is trying to do a good service around this so-called holiday period, which I don't celebrate these holidays. They're all pagan. But the White House said, no, y'all not allowed to give no discounts. So you still think this ain't being done on purpose? Still don't think that they're trying. So with all that being said, we still don't think that they're trying to do this on purpose? Drive the people, insane? Get people stomach touching their backs?
Joining us now is MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin and John Leary, the general manager of George Street Co-op in New Brunswick, New Jersey, whose store we just mentioned. So, John, What was your reaction when you got this message from the government saying you could not help SNAP recipients even if you wanted to?
I suppose I went through the stages of grief just very rapidly. So there was a moment of disbelief. There was, surprise, but mostly just shock because they give the legal reason why. They refer to the equal treatment rule. And I looked up the rule, and it's very obviously about non-discrimination, which, of course, everyone at the co-op completely agrees with.
So look, let me go here with it so I can really describe to y'all what's going on. So as you all know, millions of SNAP recipients, nearly 42 million, according to one figure, are affected by uncertainty, potential reduction. So some states have already begun issuing full benefits in response to those court orders that was done the other day. But with the Supreme Court, their stay and USDA's memo, those states' actions are now in conflict with federal guidance. So in states like Georgia, officials are confirming they are monitoring the situation and working with vendors to determine when, if full or reduced benefits will go out. All right. So that's what's going on right now. Right now, we're on murky grounds. Right now, everybody's on murky grounds. Why? Because Trump's office is fighting tooth and nail to not give people their SNAP benefits. All right, let's go.
But we just never imagined that it would be construed to prevent us from helping people through a specific time of need, especially a specific time of need that was created by government action and inaction.
Why do you think this message was sent out?
Well, I am not entirely comfortable surmising all of the reasons why that might have happened. I do know that this administration has been very strong about trying to avoid anything that's seen as an abuse of the system. And so in the 15 years that I've been general manager of the co-op, we've received very few communications from the government about the SNAP program, except very routine things about like, oh, it's time to renew. It's time to renew your documentation on the program. So we received one communication shortly after the Trump administration took office that basically was put this poster up about fraud. And so we did. And then this communication. So those are the only two communications we've had on issues.
So this
like
is really targeted government intervention, perverting equal opportunity laws on some level. Lisa, can you explain? Because to me, to someone who really values a free market and libertarian, I do not like the government saying how I can operate my business. And granted, you're a nonprofit, but still, this seems like a very top-down level of intervention.
Because they're trying to gain control of all the food, the whole food supply. So these independent services that want to render people food are now under government scrutiny. Look, you control the food, you control the people.
To maybe just for spite, much like, do you remember Meals on Wheels when they were discussing cutting funding the first Trump administration? And the administration said, oh, well, donors can make up your fellow Americans can help feed you. And so that's kind of what you were trying to do. But Lisa, please explain how this is remotely legal.
Well, I will say that this is the first time that I've heard about the equal treatment rule as it pertains to EBT beneficiaries, because most people don't experience what John experienced.
And you know what's crazy? I see a lot of MAGA in the building, and they're saying things like libtards and all of that, as if the highest SNAP recipients aren't red states. Yeah, the highest SNAP recipients are red states. What are you talking about? Anyway, let's go.
Equal treatment rule was likely devised to prevent SNAP recipients from being discriminated against as they try to use their benefits, from having fancy grocery stores essentially say to people, you're not wanted here, your dollars are not good here, which is why when you go in various neighborhoods, many people make an effort to conspicuously post, we take EBT, right? That is supposed to be the threshold of trying to provide that equal opportunity. But I think what's going on here is that somebody is taking the plain language of a regulation and sort of transmogrifying it onto their own policy priorities and objectives. It seems like this administration doesn't really have much of an understanding of who SNAP recipients are, particularly vis-a-vis the people they know and they prefer. There seems to be sort of a demification, like a demonizing.
Yeah, they trying to cut black folks off while they, cutting their own nose off, despiting their face. That's what's happening right now. They're strategically trying to starve out our people, but they just don't quite understand that it's not the mass majority of our people on SNAP. And see, every time you tell them that, it bothers them. It bothers them so much because it's true. And they always try to give the per capita argument, but that argument is asinine because no matter how you slice it, it's more of you than us. So you're going to be affected more by these cuts than us. It's common sense. So the mass majority is your people being affected. They hate to hear that. They hate to hear it, y'all. They hate to hear it, but it's the facts. It's just the facts. Let's go.
Of people who need government assistance with respect to their nutrition and just not being food insecure. And I'm not sure that the people who work in this White House or this USDA really know who those people are.
I don't think it's indifference. I think it's about basically making low-income people political football so that this administration can get more leverage, it thinks, to get Democrats to cave on their other priorities in this shutdown. I don't think...
Hey, the Democrats is just as responsible. Two wings of the same bird.
It's about like, oh, we don't know who these people are. I mean, maybe they don't. I don't know.
Well, when I say we don't know who these people are, what I mean is these aren't our people. We don't care about these people.
I see.
Okay. And so that is what justifies making them the political football. But when I say we don't know who these people are, they don't identify with people who receive SNAP. And as a result of that, it's sort of like, you place them at a level not equal to yourself that justifies preventing people like John from doing part of the public service that he was trying to do.
John, I want to ask if you can describe for our audience what the families that you feed are dealing with.
Now, in case you're just joining, here you have these private organizations and groups who are being scrutinized by the government for attempting to discount food for people and look out for people. But the government said, no, no, no. We're going to challenge you even accepting. We're going to challenge you even accepting the SNAP benefits. Now, imagine that. Trump couldn't stop the judge's order to issue out the stamps, but he can target those who accept them. If we're not on the cusp of a tyrannical government, where the people who accept SNAP got to look out. That's how much they don't want them to be used. It's crazy, y'all. Let's go.
Right now, what it's like for them, if you've heard from them as they've come into your doors, if they've asked you questions about what the coming days are going to look like. I can imagine that, I'm guessing that this discount you were trying to offer, you were going to shoulder that burden. You weren't asking the government to do that.
No, we were not even at the point of trying to fundraise or anything for it. It was just something that we were simply going to do within the organization to make it possible. Just over 5% of our customers are EBT users. And I can tell you that, even customers who are not using EBT lately, there's concern. I mean, and on your program, of course, you touch on many of the issues that come up at our register too, which is that there are lots of signs that the economy is teetering on the brink. There's lots of folks who are having a lot more trouble making ends meet. And so whether EBT recipients or not, that I'm definitely seeing people come into the store. And, you know, we are a small shop. We're the type of place where people know our names and we know their names. So they'll tell me what's going on. And I can definitely tell you that, you know, I've been the manager for 15 years. Over the course of that period of time, there is definitely a pall that has been cast over a lot of people's lives in recent years. It's I thought that when the pandemic ended, maybe we would be coming out of a lot of that, but that hasn't happened to the degree that I think any of us were hoping.
Lisa, can you help us understand Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's decision here? Why did she decide to do this? What are the possible outcomes of this temporary stay?
This is probably one of the more legally complicated things that I've ever had to explain. But let's start with the.
We know you can do it.
So Trump's USDA bars grocery stores from offering discounts for SNAP recipients.
I appreciate it. Well, let's start with the fact that Ketanji Brown Jackson made this decision by herself last night. And we are not accustomed to seeing justices act on their own. The reason she does that is that each federal appeals court in the country has a justice that sort of acts as the circuit justice for that circuit where there are emergency applications. Usually that person will refer it out to the full court. Last night, Ketanji Brown Jackson, perhaps because of the time exigency, but also perhaps because she wanted to shape what was happening, decided this on her own. And what she decided was, I am going to let this Court of Appeals make a decision about whether or not to stay the decision to compel SNAP benefits for November.
Yo, shout out to the Supreme Court. Shout out to the judge who stepped up. It was a sister that stepped up and got things done. Yeah, shout out to her for getting things done. She used her power the right way and forced Trump to go ahead and run them SNAP benefits. And now he's pretty much throwing a hissy fit, trying to, you know, target grocery stores and target private organizations because he's upset that he had to give up them stamps. But still, 65% is only 65% being distributed. So he did get sort of he still, you know, he let his pettiness shine through some way based on some of these loopholes that he found. Yeah, but shout out to the foundational Black American sister that looked out. She was on code. Let's go.
Over the long term as the appeal is pending. But in the meantime, I'm going to grant a very limited administrative stay for a couple of days, assuming that the First Circuit acts. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if I don't do that, you can't unring the bell. It would essentially moot the government's ability to appeal it. If she did nothing, right, then the money would have to go out the door and the government's ability to appeal that judgment would no longer be something that they could even do. So she's granting them a very limited stay on that judgment. At the same time, I think she is trying to impose some order here. Think about this administration and many presidential administrations, and they're not alone in this, have started to leapfrog courts of appeals when they don't like decisions of district courts and go immediately to the Supreme Court for a rescue. She is basically saying, stop doing this. Go through the normal order. You have an appeals court that told you it will consider.
And he tried the appeals court, but it didn't work. So she took preemptive measures to make sure that people were able to get their stamps. And somebody said libs, let me read this. Libs are full of crap. You know what's interesting? What's interesting is that so many people are still caught up in the left and right paradigm instead of the right and wrong paradigm. What's right? What's wrong? It's like people lack critical thinking skills. Is hungry people right or wrong? In a country where our president is building ballrooms and sending millions of dollars in foreign aid, is it right or wrong that people have food? You know, our veterans, they lost food too. And there's people with decent jobs who are unable to eat as well. because they needed that supplement. How about right versus wrong? And get your head out your ass and stop talking about libs and Republicans and libtards, Republican conservatives. Look. The government shut down right now. You still caught up in that. Focus. Let's go.
Your application for a pause of that order pending your appeal. It intends to do so. It told you it would do so rapidly. Trust them. I'm going to.
John, could you talk a little bit about what your organization has been doing, given that you've sort of had your hands tied and you haven't been able to, do the plan A was giving people a discount. As we've been discussing, you've been prevented from doing that. Are there other things that your organization is doing or that you think other organizations in your position should be doing to help out people who are struggling?
Well, one of the remarkable things that happened as a result of this post that we made.
Somebody says, hey, genius, blame who is responsible, that being Democrats. Trump has nothing to do with it. Trump is the United States president. While Trump was supposed to be sitting down, he was in Taiwan. When you are the president of the United States, you have everything to do with everything that happens in your country. And you know what's interesting? The polls show that most Americans know that Democrats and Republicans are playing the blame game. So either you a bot or you are just a die-hard Trump supporter. But I got a question for you. Do you want the Epstein files released or not? Damn it. Anyway, let's go.
And then the retraction is that a lot of other organizations throughout the country have been in touch with us. So I've been on conference calls with coalitions of co-ops, and I've been in conversation with general managers at other co-ops. And it seems like there's a family of ideas that a lot of different co-ops are exploring. But it basically boils down to, like, the problem with eliminating the particular thing we were trying to do is it was very precise.
I want to respond to this comment from Miss Lady's Room. She says, accountability definitely should fall on the president. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And then she goes on to say, it's the government's job to protect the people. That's where I got to give you some pushback. It's actually our job to protect ourselves from the government. That's what the Second Amendment was actually created for. So the government can't go tyrannical and rogue and do exactly what they're doing right now. So it's a misnomer that it's their job to protect us. Matter of fact, scripturally, it tells us that when they say peace and safety, know that sudden destruction cometh about. So when the government comes in the auspice, oh, we're just trying to help you, and oh, we here to help, and we just want to bring you safety. When they start saying safety, know that the government is up to something nefarious. So I just want to give you a little pushback on that. And yeah, but no, accountability definitely should fall under the president. And for anybody who is abusing the SNAP system, the SNAP benefit system, if you found a way to do that, then listen, those days are over. Those days are over. And you're going to have to find some ways of hustling out here and getting to it, because you do not want to rely. And for those who just been relying on it, you don't want to rely on these people. Always have you a hustle, side hustle, a gig, a trade, whatever you got to do. But let's go.
It was, you are an EBT holder. There is now a problem with EBT. Let's tailor this to EBT holders. Now we have to either come up with our own regime in which we check out people's documentation and suddenly go into a realm of analyzing people's lives that we never really wanted to, or we try to find some way to open it up for everyone and offer a benefit to everyone. And nobody, of course, is opposed to offering a benefit to everyone, but we're a very small co-op. There's a lot of very small co-ops who are being touched by this, and the ability of a small co-op to just completely change our markup regime is somewhat limited, nor can we afford phalanxes of lawyers to, try and craft policy for us. So that's the real difficulty. George Street Co-op has not decided what exactly we're going to do about this, but we are going to do something about it, because we do believe that even if this, Supreme Court, all of this gets settled, we do think that there are going to be other circumstances coming down the pike that are of equal concern,
Lisa Rubin, thank you for helping us make sense of all of this. And
so what's happening in hindsight is, now that 65% of the SNAP benefits have been distributed to various states, now the government is coming after organizations that are giving discounts to SNAP recipients and certain organizations in grocery stores that's accepting them. So it's like we couldn't stop the federal court order, but let's let the Hunger Games begin. More derision, more separation. But Trump, let's go to his post on Truth Social. We got to break down what he said. We got to break down what Trump said on Truth Social. Yep, breaking news for everybody. Join him. Breaking news. And everybody hit the double tap your screen to get the likes up. And just yesterday, Trump was calling everything massive fraud. But I mean, how are people frauding the system? How are they doing that? And perhaps they'll be ending this government shutdown soon. We will see. Hold on one moment. It's Trump's snap. Wait one moment. Yep, just 2 hours ago. And welcome everybody. If you're just joining my platform, make sure you subscribe. You're going to get some of the most riveting, informative political commentary on this platform. Let's go.
Involving the fight over SNAP benefits, the Department of Agriculture says it will begin fully funding the program immediately. That announcement coming one day after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to do just that.
A black judge, a black woman.
NBC News White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor joins us now.
For all of you, listen, all of you white folks out there, y'all need to be thanking that federal judge. All you black folks need to be thanking that federal judge. That sister looked out, because we know that Caucasian people are the highest SNAP recipients. She looked out for y'all. Y'all, listen, although y'all got all this bigoted racism and hatred, now imagine this: y'all's president whom you worship, the president whom you worship, wanted to withhold your SNAP benefits. But this black woman, this federal judge, she said, no, run them SNAP benefits. You can't tell me we not God's people. You can't tell me we don't be looking out for the world. You can't tell me that we racist. She could have let y'all go out there and hunt rabbits and crocodiles. She could have had y'all out there in the hills, in the sticks, eating squirrel meat. No. Nope. What'd she do? She looked out for y'all. She could have had y'all eating peanut butter sandwiches all month long, because that's what Trump said. There ain't no false information. Carlos said, "Why are you spreading false information?" That's one of them Hispanics for Trumps. He voted for Donald Trump. I mean, look, I know that this commentary got to bother a lot of these MAGA supporters. They know that it's mostly red states that was affected. A sister stepped up. She got y'all some stamps. Y'all could have been eating raccoon stew and fried possum loaf. Y'all could have been eating everything out the Blue Lagoon out there. But the sister looked out for y'all. Don't be mad at me because I'm covering the news. You argue with Donald Trump. Anyway, let's go.
Amish, I wonder what else the department is saying, because the administration earlier had said they were going to appeal that judge's ruling.
That's right. And Kate, the Trump administration is still appealing that ruling. But
yeah, y'all could have been eating barbecue roadkill. Y'all could have been eating stir-fry seagull meat. Y'all could have been out here. Y'all could have racist. Jerry Larkin says racist. How was that racist? Man, y'all gotta stop, man. Y'all gotta stop being so sensitive. Because you came over here watching me. Anyway, let's go.
In the meantime, they're saying they are going to comply with this court ruling as is. Now, I want to read to you part of a court filing where the Trump administration is essentially making its case for why it shouldn't fully fund SNAP. It said this court should allow USDA, which is the agricultural department, to continue with the partial payment and not compel the agency to transfer billions of dollars from another social safety net program with no certainty of their replenishment. So the Trump administration essentially is saying they don't want to move around money here in order to pay for SNAP, because there's some child nutrition programs that they're going to have to take money from in order to do this. Now, the president was also asked about this. Take a listen to what he said.
The reason I don't want to talk about affordability is because everybody knows that it's far less expensive under Trump than it was under Sleepy Joe.
Damn lie. It's a damn lie. He don't want to talk about affordability because he don't care. Trump is the same one that was talking about he's the same one talking about how he loves the word groceries. Groceries, that's an old-fashioned term. I never heard of groceries. It's an old-fashioned term. Groceries. Sounds great, groceries. Trump was born a billionaire, a millionaire. He don't know nothing about grocery shopping, bro. He don't know nothing about the struggles of the average, everyday American citizen, y'all. Now, you got people accusing me of wanting a free ride from the government. I'm an entrepreneur with my own with my own land, a trustee on some land, all about agriculture and growth and development. Is actually the total opposite. It's actually that I teach not to rely on them, and I'm teaching about self-sufficiency. Nubreed wants to rely on the government. No. I want us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and rely on ourselves. Bible says, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. That means the have-nots are supposed to be coming together at this point. Yeah. He don't want to talk about affordability because he ain't willing to change nothing. But he makes sure his billionaire buddies get those tax cuts. He makes sure them billionaire buddies line their pockets up off the fall of America. He makes sure that they invested in that AI so they can get their return while our people are losing jobs, while Amazon just lost 600,000 jobs. Listen, The American citizens are losing jobs, and Trump is making sure the billionaires are eating off of that.
It was under Sleepy Joe Biden. And the prices are...
This is the same thing over and over. When Republicans in office, they blaming the Democrats. Joe Biden been dead a long time ago. Joe Biden ain't in the office. That clone they call Joe Biden, he been weekend at Bernie's for years now. He ain't been running the government. If you think Joe Biden was running anything when they had that lifeless mannequin, pushing that lifeless mannequin with a mask on, pushing him around, if you think he was running anything, you don't know nothing about what's going on in the government. You don't know nothing about what's going on if you think he was running the government. No, this is all by design, folks.
And the prices are way down.
So there the president was talking about affordability.
Them prices ain't down.
The reason I don't want to talk about affordability is because everybody knows that it's far less expensive under Trump than it was under Sleepy Joe Biden. And the prices are way down.
So there the president was talking about affordability in the midst of all of this conversation about SNAP and about the fact that millions and millions of Americans are not only looking for their benefits and saying that they're going to not have the food assistance that they need, but he's also focused on the idea that Americans nationwide are saying that the cost of living is too high, while the White House and the president are saying this is really a hoax by the Democrats, that affordability isn't an issue. So it's quite the messaging coming out of the White House, Kate.
Yamiche, real quick, do we know how quickly those SNAP benefits could get to people, or do we not know yet?
That's a big question. There is no timeline here. The court order says that it needed to happen within the next day, which I think is today, Friday. Whether or not that's actually going to happen is a big question. But of course, as I said, 40.
And this was done Friday. That court order that was done, and this is what's up.
Million Americans on SNAP benefits. They're looking at their calendars. They're looking at their families and hoping that that money gets there as soon as possible. But we're just not sure of what that timeline will be, Kate.
All right, Yamiche Sindor.
Let me see. Somebody says, Nubreed, you're a weirdo, bro. Oh, really? Hold on. Yeah, let's get him up out of there. Hey, listen, let me explain something to y'all, right? I'm very much peculiar, very much rare, but ain't nothing about me weird. Very much peculiar, very much a free thinker, very much rare, but you ain't finna be in here hurling all insults. Tania say he's out of there. Look, we don't tolerate disrespect over here. I thought you knew that. Let's see. Look, Bovine says you seem nice to me. Not nice. The word nice can mean ignorant. Look up the word nice. Nice means ignorant. No, not nice at all. But very necessary. Very much necessary. Yeah, Miss Lydia's room says groceries are very much expensive. Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. So to catch you all up to speed, to understand what's going on, what's still unclear is with all the states that issue payments at the 65% level, some issue full benefits anyway. And then is there a risk penalty? That's something we got to look out for. Also, what is unclear, when will the federal funding situation be resolved so that the full benefits can resume if they do? That's in question as well. More things that's unclear. How states using their own funds to cover benefits are treated under the USDA's penalty framework is still murky. And we've already seen them targeting certain places and organizations. Also, the downstream effect on retailers, food banks, and local economies are still evolving. So that's what's going on right now. That's what's going on right now in the country. Imagine people getting jailed for selling food for cheap. Not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things unclear, and what it seems like is they're trying to control the food supply. Like, let the Hunger Games begin. Even the fact that we're sitting here having this conversation about food, and we're talking about it in the capacity that we're speaking about it, it should raise red flags. It should really make you consider what's going on in America. Look, let me see. Let me read this. Somebody said, what's crazy? What's crazy is we all knew this was going to happen. Why are we acting surprised like we are so surprised? Why are we acting like we are so surprised? Well, some people didn't know it was going to happen, and some people just suppressed the truth in their conscience. Gladiator, thank you for the support. Says, recognize the Most High God in Christ and Christ's prophets that the Most High God in Christ sent to us, which is Nubreed, respect, the mind, wisdom. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just praise the Most High for giving me the utterance to speak what's necessary. Blessings. Let me see. Pete G says the maggots are groups of racist lunatics. They voted for him based on his racist agenda. He divided us to better his agenda. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I agree with that completely. I mean, he got middle America and YT America so spiritually oppressed. Everything is blowing up in their own households. There's a whole civil war going on with the Conservative Party. I mean, they on a dummy mission, self-destruction mission. They got crash outs all over their side. I mean, they got people, they got their whole organization is broke down in fractions, going to war with each other. And to show you how far gone they are, Halloween just passed. These people was wearing blackface. As if wearing blackface helps their situation. Let me see. Thank you for the support. Let me see here. We got Sid. Thank you. Says, bro, I am sad. Trump is evil. He is starving Americans for political gain. Yeah, you know, and it's not just Trump. It's the whole system is closing in on itself. Let me see. Somebody said, why does Dingo always talking about you? He is doing a video now bashing you. I don't know, maybe a homosexual. I don't know. I don't know no man sit around talk about another man all day. What say y'all? I don't know. I can't. Hey, look, I don't live in people's mind. I ignore that stuff. I stay far away from that. I don't know. Maybe the man ain't content with his life. I don't know. Somebody says, Nubreed hateful. Look at his hat. Oh, speaking of the hat, you can order this hat off nubreedglobaltruth.com. This is the 12 tribes cap. You know what I'm saying? It's got the Hunger Games emblem representing that 12 tribes. Yeah. Let me see. Somebody says, he said, oh man, I don't want none of that over here. I don't want none of that over here. Let me see. Somebody said, I saw the downfall of the USA America a long time ago. I saw the downfall of the USA America a long time ago, and this is why I left the country 8 years ago to move to Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, and West Africa. Wow. How's life over there? Somebody says, LOL, I like how you shut down the liars and the haters. Yeah, they don't get my time. They don't get my time. Yep. Somebody says, yeah, they're stirring up a race war. That's exactly what they want. But in order to have a race war, you got to engage in something like that. And see, they were banking on everybody just going to war. But let me tell you, let me say this. There's a lot of Gentile brothers and sisters who on the right side of things. Miss Lady's room, she says, also everyone, everyone, please look into bulk grocery drop-offs. We can partner together as households and families. I can drop the name of the company. See, that's what's up. Miss Lady trying to look out. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Yeah, these people be selling their soul to MAGA, man, for views. It's a sad thing, man. Selling your soul to MAGA. Being forced to wear MAGA hats to get views is crazy. That's nasty work, bro. That's just nasty work, man. You know what I say? Let the dead bury the dead. That's what the Bible say. Let the dead bury the dead. We finna live. Let me see. Somebody says, yes, true. A lot of Gentiles see through it. That race war ain't going as planned. Yeah, they put a lot of funding. They put a lot of funding into trying to get a race war to happen. But what essentially is all about is they're just trying to fight over who gonna rule. They're just fighting over who's gonna rule. Let me see. Somebody says, oh, that's interesting info right here. Truth Finder says the U.S. defaulted in 1971 by going off the gold standard. Yes, it has been paid paper since, plaid paper since. The value of the dollar has been 100% based on trust of the people. It is amazing how it's been lasting for so long. That is absolute facts. That's a person that know exactly what they're talking about. The reason why paper money is able to rule is because people believe in it, which is the power of the people. People believe in their blood money. You believe in it. That's what gives it power. The moment people really start tapping in to what God gave us, our natural abilities, tapping into the right frequency. Oh, once we know who we are, oh man, it shuts it down. Once we have some type of trading system, once we understand that all the resources that are in the world they're already for us. We bought into the idea of the dollar, which disconnected us from God and what is already ours. Man, I can go on a long time with that. I mean, I can really chop it up with y'all. If man, that's a whole deep dive in itself. Literally, every resource that's already in the earth, you can have everything you need: food, shelter, everything. You can literally, if you had the wherewithal and the skill, you can go move into the woods, build a home there with the earth. The food is in the earth. Everything is in the earth that you need, but you believe in the dollar. People kill for the dollar. People betray people for the dollar. First Corinthians chapter 6, verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. The love of money, not wrong with having things, because you do live in this society. But when it comes down to the love of it, you err from the faith. Money is just simply something you're supposed to use to as a resource, as a defense. Let me see. Somebody says it's now. Let me get this right. Let's see here. It's now illegal to be homeless. Yes, it is. Trump did that. Somebody said they will murder us in large numbers, and we are just allowing it to happen. Well, they're not going to be able to do nothing without the Most High say so. And even if they were able to do that, hey, you know where we going. Let's see. Queen says you are too inspiring and very intelligent. Thank you. Thank you for that, sister. I appreciate that. Let's see. Gma Comier says that would be nice, but they will remove you from the place you built in the woods. Yeah, exactly. Because they put a stock over God's resources. That's why they gotta suffer the consequences. I mean, don't get me twisted. I'm not trying to be over religious. There's nothing wrong with having things. But that's right, Mr. Wild Seed. The transfer of wealth is coming. But in all seriousness, I know I made that statement about old boy's sexuality because I find it weird to be talking about a grown man all the time. But honestly, bro, if I'm speaking honest with y'all, I'm concerned for that guy. I'm concerned for his well-being. I am for real. I'm concerned for his well-being. I don't think it's very masculine to play the type of games that he plays, especially when somebody offered to run a fade and they just want to, chit chat online all day and all that. I don't think it's very masculine. And I also think that, his relationship with God is not good. That's what I really believe. His relationship with God is not good. He might be doing better in life, but he don't seem to be blessed. He don't seem to be happy. He don't seem to be content. He seems miserable all the time. And I just think that's sad, honestly. All jokes to the side, I hope that man finds closure in his life. I hope he finds closure. And that's really what I feel about the situation. It's strange energy. It's very dark energy coming from that person. I don't want nothing to do with that. And I would appreciate it if, when y'all join my broadcast, don't inform me about that. I don't pay no attention to that. As you can see, we doing what we do over here. We bring forth truth. We bring forth also our opinion on things. And we're not really worried about what nobody else is talking about. We're not just making content to be a contrarian. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, I don't too much deal with miserable people. So do me a favor and y'all keep that same energy. Keep that energy. We are always operating on positive vibes over here. And even when it's not a positive day and it's not good news, we still doing what we do. And we don't have to rely on other people's names. We don't have to rely on other people's platforms to grow or have something to talk about. Right? Let me see. Somebody said, let me see. Here in West Africa, we have real ownership. I own farmland and properties. I don't pay taxes, mortgages. We have less stress here than there is in America. Food here is real organic. Yeah. Now, of course, like that sounds great, but us foundational Black Americans, we're not just going to leave our homeland. I say a lot of things about the judgment of America, but we're not just finna flee. We in too deep because we built it. If anything, God gonna have to send his son to divinely intervene with what's going on in America. But that doesn't stop us from talking our talk and voicing our opinions and voicing our concerns about what's going on in America. Because ultimately, it's ours. America is ours. It's my land. I'm not going to flee my own land. My ancestors was already here. Some of them did get packed on cargo slave ships, but I know for a fact that I'm a direct descendant of America. I know this for a fact. Family shrines, bloodline, lineage, all of it. I know that my people were dignitaries here in America. Dignitaries in America. Let me see what this person said. Let me see. Captain Fum Duck says this dude is a clown. Let me do you a favor. My nigga Breed. Got me fucked up. You see how we just do that? My nigga Breed knew the time. You see that? You come over here with the wrong type of energy, the wrong type of spirit. We're gonna get you up out of here. We're gonna pack you up real quick. I'm telling you, we're gonna pack you up real quick. Somebody says, yeah, but Nubreed, if it come down to it, you may need an alternative, bro. Like, no, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with traveling. There's nothing wrong with leaving the country either. I'm not speaking against that. A traveled man availeth much wisdom. I may leave the country one day. Some of you all may decide to leave the country one day. But when I do, oh, my fight is going to be done. I mean, I will speak the truth until I'm dearly deported. Straight up. Also, man, at 7 o'clock, if I have all of my partners in, we're going to have our meeting tonight on Zoom. If y'all are not in the Telegram group, make sure that you download Telegram so you can get that link, because that's where I'm going to share the link. All right. I'll be sharing the link there. And also, for the guy that's over there slandering, man, I'm not going to say too much. But if you're a person who wants to start a business and travel, meaning start your very own travel agency, then hit me up and we can get you started. We can get you a website. We can get you a travel agent number. We can get you hooked in with all of the hotels. Even if you're a person who likes to travel and you want to get commission from your own travel, because you can do that. What I'm going to do is, after the end of this, well, actually, I'm going to go to the description box and I'm just going to leave my enrollment link. And you can go ahead and get enrolled. And then we'll touch bases after you get enrolled. All right. That's those who are interested in building with a tight network, brothers and sisters who are like-minded, making some paper together. Then I'll have my enrollment link. Matter of fact, let me see if I can do that right now. Perhaps I can do that in the chat right now, because that's what I'm going, because I have my team. But now you could just enroll. If you want to enroll, you can enroll. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull that up for y'all real quick. Matter of fact, I'll do it right after the stream. I'll put it right in the description box right after the stream. All right. Somebody said, how much money is it? You have to find out when you click the enrollment link. So, of course, we always finding new ways to get to it. And what's so beautiful about what I'm doing as a travel agent, what's so very beautiful about it is, let me just explain this, how I got on that course and how the Most High put me on that course. Let me say this. So, as a lot of you all know, we have been doing events, fundraiser events. We've been doing land walks because we own land in North Carolina. And we don't want to go to the government to build up our land. We don't want to do that. But the only issue is a lot of people just don't have the money, don't have the paper to be able to do that. And I'm not a millionaire. I can't build up 110 acres of land on my own. Me and the couple families that I network with, we don't have it where we could just build up the land for the people. If we had it, we would do it. We would do it. But it's expensive and we're not making that kind of money. But we will be. But anyway, what ended up happening is I came across this grand opportunity to be a travel agent. My right-hand man, brother of mine, gave me that opportunity, and I immediately gravitated towards it because, number one, I like to travel. Worst case scenario, I get commission for me just traveling. So I said, you know what? This is for me. Number two, I thought about the issue is how people didn't have the paper, but what if we had a vehicle that we can use so we can make paper together and then develop our community? Instead of us coming together and saying, hey, could y'all donate so we can develop this land? No. How about this? Those who have an entrepreneurial mindset, those who are interested in multi-level marketing, those who are interested in traveling and networking with like-minded people, those would be the people that we can all come together and build our community. And I prayed about it. I prayed about an answer before the opportunity was presented. Travel is the most attractive industry out there. And there will be events. Oh, there will be beautiful events that y'all going to see me at, that y'all going to see my team at. There will be beautiful events, and there will be success. There will be success. Some of you all see me with taking pictures with millionaires and all of that, and people didn't know what to think. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what's about to happen. I'm gonna just tell you before it happens so you could know. Generational wealth is going to happen. Much wisdom is going to happen because through much travel bring much wisdom. People are going to be starting their own businesses and becoming self-sufficient. And so that opportunity was a grand opportunity. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be leaving my enrollment link on every video. And so at y'all's time, some of y'all may be becoming a partner tonight. I don't know. But at y'all's time, take a look at it and think about what you want to do for your future. One thing about myself, I'm always ahead of the curve. I'm always ahead of the curve, and I always have foresight in which direction to go. All praises to the Most High. And so, yes, tonight we're going to be doing our Zoom meeting. So y'all listen, y'all want to show up to this one. Y'all want to definitely show up to this one. I'm actually looking forward to seeing y'all. And I'm talking about the team. And if y'all, and I know everybody got different work schedules and a busy life, but if you able to pull up in the next 30 minutes, matter of fact, I got to get off here so I can make sure everybody get the link. And I do some troubleshooting before starting. But anyway, I'm gonna leave that enrollment link if y'all interested in starting your own travel agency, starting your own business. And yes, I have my own business, my own agency. I have my own agency, and I'm gonna help you start yours. Let me see here. All right. So look, thanks each and every one of y'all. I got more material coming. Thank y'all for tuning in. Look, y'all be blessed out here.